Blanche Monnier, 1901. Secretly locked in a small room for 25 years by her own family. When police finally found her, she weighed barely 60 pounds. Her crime? Falling in love with the wrong man. A girl and her doll, year unknown. Something about this image feels unsettling. Maybe it's the stillness, maybe it's the stare. Some photographs ask more questions than they answer. Twins in homemade costumes, 1930s. What was meant to be playful now looks like something from a nightmare. Childhood innocence and creeping dread, all in one frame. A creepy costume, year unknown, handmade, haunting. In an era before store-bought masks, people created their own, and the results were often terrifying. A girl in a mask with her doll, year unknown. The face is hidden, the doll stares blankly. Some old photographs feel like they're staring back at you. U.S. Navy L-8 blimp, 1942. It continued to fly and landed on its own, but the crew had vanished. No bodies, no explanation. The mystery was never solved. Stranded members of Shackleton's Antarctic expedition, 1916. Their ship crushed by ice, survival uncertain. Against all odds, every single man made it home alive. A mummy autopsy, early 1900s. Scientists unwrapping the ancient dead. What they found inside taught us more about the past than any written record ever could. Victorian trick photography, year unknown. Long before Photoshop, photographers used double exposures and clever techniques to create impossible images. The Victorians loved their illusions. Alaska, 1910. The skeletal remains of a whale rest on the shore, a giant reduced to bones, a reminder of how small we really are. Kakheti, Georgia, 1881. A man stands next to an enormous container used to store wine. Georgian winemaking traditions stretch back thousands of years. Some things never change. Chicago, July 1934. People line up to view the body of gangster John Dillinger in a morgue. America's most wanted man, now a public spectacle, even in passing. Berlin, 1933. A circus performer sits inside an aquarium car, surrounded by crocodiles. Entertainment had no limits, and neither did the risks performers were willing to take. New York, 1907. A man stands in a deep-sea diving suit, nicknamed the Iron Man. It featured electric charging and pressure protection systems, cutting-edge technology for its time. Paris, 1935. A visitor holds a candle in the catacombs, smiling beside a large collection of skulls. 6 million remains rest beneath the city streets. She's not alone down there. Ostend, Belgium, 1914. A crowd watched a British airship fly over the port during World War I. The sky was becoming a battlefield, and everyone looked up to see what was coming. Actor Johnny Eck, 1932. Born with an underdeveloped lower torso, he poses for a promotional photo for the film Freaks. He turned what others saw as a limitation into legendary status. Roosevelt Island, New York, 1932. Women learned to shoot inside a prison facility. In an era of uncertainty, even inmates were being trained to protect themselves. Los Angeles Zoo, 1939. Billy the elephant was put down after becoming uncontrollable with age. Zookeepers made a difficult decision, one that still raises questions today. American Museum of Natural History, June 1933. Museum staff carefully clean an elephant skin for display. Preservation required patience, precision, and a strong stomach. Amsterdam, 1935. Little Anne Frank stands on the doorstep of her father's office in the single. Her father, Otto, took this photograph. Within a decade, her diary would change the world. 1920s. Shoeshine boys sit and listen to war stories from a Civil War veteran, a generation gap bridged by tales of battles fought long ago. Two men testing a bulletproof vest in the most direct way possible by shooting at each other while wearing it. Confidence in the product. Maybe complete madness. Maybe both. Actress Gladys Roy and Ivan Unger playing tennis on top of a plane flying at 3,000 feet. No safety nets, no harnesses, just balance, nerve, and a very steady pilot. After World War I, officers gathered to pay tribute to the horses lost in battle. Millions of animals served alongside soldiers. Most never came home. Landsberg Prison. Convicted Nazi war criminal Władysław Doperla photographed before facing justice. The camera captured what came before. The world knows what came after. Lons-le-Saunier, France, April 20th, 1897. Pierre Vaillant is led to the guillotine after being convicted of taking the lives of his two siblings on Christmas Day, 1996, during a robbery. A rare photograph survives of this moment. A front-facing portrait of a woman named Margarita, identified as Huilich, published alongside detailed skeletal measurements in a so-called racial portrait study, science that reduced human beings to data points. Bergen-Belsen, April 1945. A camp inmate, reduced to starvation to skin and bones, delouses his clothes after liberation. Survival was just the beginning of recovery. Woods, Poland, during World War II. Polish civilians, mothers and children among them, displaced by German occupiers. Entire communities uprooted with nowhere to go. Ravensbrück concentration camp survivor Jadwiga Jido reveals the scars on her leg, evidence of Nazi medical experiments presented at the doctor's trial. Her body became testimony. Female patients from a psychiatric hospital, 1946 to 1948, unknowingly exposed to syphilis as part of experiments conducted by Dr. Cutler. They never told, they never consented. Whitnell, North Carolina, a flashlight photograph of children heading to a night shift at 6 p.m. on a cold December evening. They wouldn't come out until 6 a.m. Two of the smaller girls, along with three sisters, worked nights to support a father who refused to work himself. Child labor in the United States, early 20th century. Young hands doing adult work. Before labor laws protected them, children were just another resource to be used. Dr. William Hitzig examines Pelagia Makowska, a survivor of medical experiments performed at Ravensbrück concentration camp. Her scars remained, both visible and hidden. A prisoner inside a pressure chamber during Nazi high-altitude experiments. Conditions simulating 15,000 meters were created to test if Luftwaffe pilots could survive at that height. Many test subjects did not. Hurdle Werk Children's Home. Children inside a playpen. Institutional care in an era when orphanages were often the only option, and not always a kind one. Overhead view of a special ward. Patients' beds separated by screens. Everyone wearing masks. Nets hang from the ceiling. A scene from an era when disease meant isolation and uncertainty. March 12, 1946. Ferenc Szalasi, known as the Hungarian Hitler, faces justice alongside three others. An unknown photographer captured the final moment of a man responsible for countless atrocities. Gary Lassigny Road near Noyon, June 23, 1916. Prisoners from the 66th Senegalese Battalion of the French Colonial Regiment captured by German troops. Colonial soldiers fighting a European war far from home. New Jersey State House, January 22, 1963.
Protesters hold anti-death penalty signs outside as Ralph Hudson faces. That same night, it would be the last execution in New Jersey's history. Varanasi, British India. A prisoner awaits his fate on death row. Identity unknown, story untold. Only this photograph remains.
Ballard, Seattle. A drugstore and barber shop at 32nd Avenue and 64th Street. Photographed by Carl Henry Moen, born in 1892 to Norwegian immigrants. Before picking up a camera in 1909, he crossed the Pacific over 200 times as a sailor. Hotel de Gink, The Bowery, New York City. A hotel for hobos and itinerant workers. The barber here could reportedly do 32 shaves in 90 minutes. Speed was survival in a place like this. Cimarron County, Oklahoma. A farmer's son during the Dust Bowl era. The land had turned against them. Drought, wind, and endless dust. Families held on as long as they could. Choctaw Nation men, photographed around the time of the American Civil War. Their clothing reflects the era, caught between traditions and a nation tearing itself apart. Mahalia, 114 years old, photographed in 1912 in Washington State. A life spanning more than a century. The world she was born into no longer existed by the time this picture was taken. Chesterfield Inlet, 1940, an Inuit family photographed by Constance Beatty. Life in the far north, resilient, resourceful, and enduring through generations. The Benvenuti family, originally from Italy, migrated from London to Brisbane in 1871. Antonio on violin, his sons Luigi on bass, Victor on piano, and Italo on flute. 3 generations shaped Brisbane's musical culture. June 8, 1955. Princess Sibylla of Sweden dines with Finnish President J.K. Paasikivi. Diplomacy over dinner, where nations quietly shaped their futures. A small school classroom, possibly in Gananoque, November 23, 1905. Wooden desks, young faces, and a world still lit by oil lamps. Education looked different then. Camp Funston, Fort Riley, Kansas, 1918. Rows of beds filled with soldiers during the Spanish flu pandemic. The virus spread faster than any army. Millions would not survive.